This is Ian Nethercott from the AutoHub Show. Hello, this is Ian Nethercott from the AutoHub Show. And I'm here at NADA 2025 in New Orleans. As you can see, my voice is fading. But I'm doing a great interview here with two gents, one to the left, one to the right. Two gents, one to the left and one to the right. And they're from two different companies, but actually in partnership, probably a similar philosophy these days. Anyway, so why don't we start with an intro? We're going to start with VinQ. So tell us more about VinQ.
Absolutely. So I'm Josh Vanin. I'm the product manager at VinQ. VinQ is an end-to-end inventory management platform. So we are providing dealers live market data that helps them appraise cars accurately and acquire them at the right cost and find the cars that are best fits for their market, and then taking them all the way through to sale, including inventory management, including merchandising, putting their website, pricing, advertising. So that's the end-to-end element: acquisition to sale, maximizing profit along the way.
Wow, that's lots of information.
Okay.
Oh, rock and roll. So let's talk about the Vehlo Rapid Recon Enterprise.
Yeah, keep going.
Yeah,
keep going.
There's more. If you can go over a little bit about the companies, the bigger mothership brand, and how this integration is going to work.
Sure. So, so two pieces there. So I'm Yuran Anderson, the executive vice president at Vehlo, and specifically focused on our dealership division. So that's 5 brands to your point, Ian. So one of them is Rapid Recon. You mentioned that.
Yep.
We've got Velocity Automotive.
Yep.
We've got Dealer Logics.
Yep.
Service Lane E-Advisor.
Yep.
And Text to Drive.
Yep.
So across all 5, we've. I'm glad I got an applause too. That's awesome. So across all 5.
And VinQ, right?
So VinQ is actually a partner of ours.
Oh, okay.
But not owned by Vehlo.
Okay.
But I'll get back to that because that's interesting. You called that out. So in short, a little bit about those brands. We basically cover the entire service lane workflow lifecycle from end to end. So once a customer buys a vehicle, we're able to engage that customer with automation for the dealer and on their behalf. Just makes it a lot easier to retain that customer all the way through scheduling appointments, the repair order, and even recon work order related workflow, all the way through payment, and then getting that customer back for that follow-up service. So our service is really centered around customer engagement, automation, and retention. And then that ties to your comment about VinQ. So yeah. VinQ makes such a great partner for us because you actually thought that we had some financial connection outside of a partnership.
Yeah.
And that is the way we operate. And Josh is a great example of one of our VinQ team members and partners that does that. And we're just so excited to have that partnership.
Well, I heard a lot about integration, customer experience, and I'm hearing that from both sides of the coin, not saying that they're on the same side, but clearly partnership. So my question there is, how is VinQ going to implement Rapid Recon and the other products into your platform?
Yeah, absolutely. So like I said, VinQ is end-to-end inventory management, and part of the process from acquisition to sale, every vehicle that's going to go frontline needs to go through a service shop, needs to get reconditioned.
Right.
So our bread and butter is our appraisal data. Our bread and butter is not reconditioning per se, right? So that's where we combine our superpowers, and we allow the whole point of the integration at the very top level. The value statement here is we want to keep our superpowers and our super users where they belong in VinQ, and then let Vehlo and keep their superpowers. I know. I was like, I do them all. I don't know. Keep all their super users on their side. So what we're doing is we're allowing our used car managers to have the executive functions they need in VinQ without having to go and stay where that profit center is, and not the other.
So it's like a superhero partnership. Is that what I'm hearing?
Yes, we're going to use that. Thank you.
Okay, no worries.
I do feel like you were about to make a Justice League reference of some sort.
I was thinking.
So I think to Josh's point, like at the end of the day, it's really like we really are very aligned as a team and as a technology to be persona based, right? So if it's a technician that's using the product, they're likely using Rapid Recon as an example.
Yeah.
Right. But if you've got somebody managing inventory, they're not using Rapid Recon more than likely. They're using a best in class inventory management tool, which is VinQ.
Yep.
Right. So we let those users be extra powerful and focused in the tools they have versus having 5 tools to log into at once.
Understand. So obviously you don't want to log into 5 tools. You want one that does it end to end and get it. How will that change the experience for clients, customers?
Well, at the end of the day, I think Josh will probably have something to add to this too, potentially on the VinQ side specifically. But at the end of the day, I believe our net impact is efficiency, which ultimately leads to profitability for the dealer, right? So whether it's managing inventory or if it's pushing a work order through or repair order through or engaging a customer with automation, anything that we can provide access, technology rather, to provide dealer access to that allows them not to be behind the keyboard, but engaged in the things that only a human can do, that's better for the dealer, right? So, so that inventory is managed a lot more effectively. They can engage with the reconditioning tool in VinQ, which is huge. So yeah, at the end of the day, it's profit and efficiency.
So how would that integrate?
Absolutely. So
how do the superheroes get together?
Well, sure. I want to keep answering that question. So, the value it brings, because dealers want their cars frontline ready as soon as possible. As soon as they acquire a car, they want to sell it. And that's important for us because that's when they appraise the car. The value can change, right? So the sooner they can get it on the front line, the better. And that's what we're going to allow them to do, to see that as quickly as possible.
So obviously you're looking at, you're at the museum business and the car business. You're trying to sell that car to Recon. You're also trying to buy cars with the VinQ solution. What are the advantages, do you think, as you integrate? Like, what are the distinct advantages to doing
to our partnership?
Specifically,
Okay. Well, Yuran, can you take this one?
Yeah, sure. Yep. So, thanks for that, Tio. So, I would say the primary advantage kind of goes back to what we shared a moment ago. For the main point, which is efficiency. Like there are very few places where you're going to be able to manage your inventory, interact with the reconditioning cycle, push vehicles through the steps of reconditioning as well, and have perfect alignment between the service lane engaged in the recon work order and the folks that are preparing to push those cars out to market and to line as fast as possible. It's very, very rare that you're going to have the type of alignment that we're creating with this technology. So I would say that's the number one advantage. And frankly, the number one differentiator with our partnership versus others.
That's a great answer.
Anything to add to that?
Okay. There's no superhero reference? Oh, okay.
No, I'm leaving it to you.
So Dennis McGinn obviously built Rapid Recon, and obviously partnership philosophy. As you know, you guys bought that company. So how has that influenced moving forward the partnership that you're looking for?
I think maybe taking a step back, even from Dennis, who has been phenomenal, by the way, as an internal partner. He's had the privilege to retire, semi-retire, if you will, as CEO emeritus, but still pretty actively engaged. I think Dennis is an example of like multiple founders that we've, of companies that we've purchased over the years, and that allows us to actually partner with the Vincues of the world, who have really strong, founder-led business cultures and strong open partnership cultures. And what I mean by that is when you have multiple founders come together that have like a united vision, or any spine of that vision overlaps, you can really create some magic. And I do believe that Danny and Chris, the two executive leaders there at VinQ, are really fully bought in to creating open partnerships. And there aren't really any exceptions to that. Like there's plenty of competition. There's also plenty of revenue and opportunity. So there's no need to avoid those partnerships. They're very embracing, and we've jumped all over that.
So what about the long term? I know we're talking about the short term. I know there's lots of change. Thanks for that on the history of one of the companies. Where do you see sort of Danny and his team and your team working together long term? What do you think?
Yeah, I think right now, and would love to hear Josh's thoughts on this. Like I think right now the number one goal for us, because our partnership is actually fairly new. So the number one goal for us is to maximize that value for the businesses and our partnership, but then most importantly for our dealers. And that's our number one goal. So I would say 12 to 24 month time cycle, like that is paramount for us. And then where that goes beyond that, I think our dealerships' success, right, and the proof points, that'll kind of direct our path. I guess anything to add to that?
No, I love that answer. There's a lot that's very much we want to get this out there, get it in front of dealers, start creating value, and understand where we can create more value, and then let's let it lead the way. But what I will say is that, like, an opportunity that we very much want to hop on is helping. And this is why I tossed you the philosophy question, because mine I get really pragmatic and boring. So you have to let me do that for a moment. So one thing that we would like to do is let our dealers compare what they estimated their reconditioning to be versus what it ended up being. And there's a real desire for that from our customers. We know that, we've talked to them, and this could give us the opportunity to do that. So that's something that we're eyeing. So I think something for dealers to look into.
That's right. Yeah. Nothing to add.
Yeah,
That was perfect.
what message would you like to convey to auto dealerships about the value of adopting the combined solution here?
So, one, I would suggest that they be open. I think that the idea of looking at multiple solutions today can be daunting. A lot of dealerships have 20 technologies in their service lane or in their dealership altogether, and sometimes that's necessary. Sometimes it's not. But typically, either way, they're usually very disparate and not super connected or integrated. And we've been really intentional about that. That's one of the 3 or 4 kind of thematic connections between VinQ and our business. So I would say to be open, and as they look at the value proposition of the technologies brought together, we'll prove it. Like our offering also, as far as the promotion's concerned, is really strong. Like our pricing is very competitive, and we want to make sure we're removing that initial hurdle. And give us a chance to prove it, and when we prove it, like we'll get more business.
So what about for that customer? Thanks for the answer. What about that customer who says, yeah, I'm already in with the Vehlo suite of products. I want to add the VinQ piece because like I love that, adding that and broadening it. What does that look like for them? Like what's the integration look like?
Yeah, so the question there would be, if they start at Vehlo, what does it look like coming on?
Or the reverse, of course, like the Rapid, right?
Yeah, I mean, I think that like the work, like I think that's another thing that we've been learning in this partnership is like where do we find our dealers attracted to each other? We know we both have amazing offerings, and we both have dealers who love our offerings. Maybe they love one of them, maybe they or they only have one of them.
Yeah.
So I think we just have to listen to them and say, and then go from there. Does that make sense?
Well, I'm thinking that ad for $5 foot long, and I'm thinking you got to come up with something for the 6th product.
For the 6th product.
Yeah, which is VinQ. You say 6.
Wow. Yeah. All right. Well played.
Yeah. Like you got 5.
Well
what you need is the 6th product. Let us show you how easy that is. Or you got 1 product. What about 5 more products?
Feel like our dad joke quota has been exceeded.
And that's all the questions I got. Any final thoughts?
We are about to get this thing live. This will be live in some dealerships very soon, so I'm just really excited. We demoed it today to Jose Lazo out of South Dade, and he was really excited to see it, and it just felt really good because we've been working hard to make this thing happen, so I'm excited.
So peek behind the curtains possible, is that what you're saying?
Yeah, at booth.
Yeah. Sure.
At booth number
7334.
There you go.
Yeah, that's all good. It's all good.
Hundreds.
Yeah. Final thoughts?
Sure. So maybe just one main takeaway. Doesn't matter if you're a dealer today using VinQ or using one of the products from our brands. At the end of the day, like I think you'll have an experience that ultimately is centered around your satisfaction as a user, but then also your consumer satisfaction, whether you're selling the vehicle or you're servicing the vehicle. You should come to expect that from our brands and our partnership together. And if you get to us today or tomorrow at booth 835 or booth 7, right, that you mentioned.
Or the details below, just in case you want to reach out.
That's right. We do have an NADA promotion that's going on, while we're here. So we want to make sure that dealers don't hesitate to get over and get this value. We're in over 8,000 collective dealerships. Like that's happened for a reason. That's right. So we have a value proposition that's real, and we want to give that to every new dealer that's interested.
So you're open to 8,001, 8,051.
We're open to a few more.
9,000. Yeah, okay.
That's right.
Thanks very much.
You got it. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Yep.